my dear friends. It's a long afternoon, but a very warm and good afternoon to every one of you here. Mr. Murali Krishna has already shared as a regulator what is the framework that's in place. But for many of my student friends here, I will just like to kind of share with you how the capital market in Indian scenario works, just the landscape. Largely, the market is regulated by SEBI, which is the ultimate regulator, and also the the apex body which frames the market regulations. The second level regulator are the stock exchanges and the depository in the country. So largely, I think many of us here would agree that capital market is one of the most regulated market in the country today. And the fraud that we are all talking about so much in parlance here are all frauds of the civil nature, largely. We do not have much of criminal frauds that emanate out of the primary or the secondary market in the country today. So we have a second level regulator in the stock exchanges, and that's where I come from. So stock exchange is the first level regulator for a broker or a trading member. And stock exchange is also the first level regulator for an investor to come and redress his grievance. So there is a hierarchy structure that is available in the capital market today. And I think Indian markets have the maximum regulation and circulars in the capital market, and it is most regulated. I would want you to kind of see two sides of this capital market. We've had scams of Harshad Mehta that many of my colleagues will be talking about. We had the Ketan Parekh scam in 2001, but we also saw the 2008 meltdown that never affected Indian capital markets. And I feel all of this credit would definitely go to SEBI and the market participants to have put a whole structure in place. There is definitely a lot of spirit in our market that keeps us vibrant, that continues to attract foreign investments of all nature, and also has brought in a huge retail participation in Indian capital market. The reason I'm here is not to talk about what is fraud, but I'm here to share with you what is the structure, what is the framework that has strengthened this in order to ensure the frauds are less and less, or we from the exchange call it as complaints. Today, when we talk about an average traded volume on NSE, it is about 1 lakh crore a day. Now, for that kind of a volume where about 2 crore investors deal every day in the market, annual complaint that I get at NSE is about 5,000 maximum. And that's come down drastically over the years. So typically, I would also believe and confirm that there is definitely empowerment, there is spirit in all the market participants and stakeholders trying to follow the system, because once the system is followed, definitely the practices, the deviation from practices do get reduced. But definitely I'll concur that it does not get eliminated. But from strengthening perspective, how SEBI has empowered we at the stock exchange, right from dealing with a broker who enters the stock exchange, because he is the facilitator for investment of investors. We scrutinize him. We find out whether he has the ability to run the broking house, whether he has enough financial position to take care of himself, he has enough net worth criteria. We do an audit of his company year on year. We also do investigative inspections of that broking house. And every investor who trades on NSE, the guarantee is done by NSE and not by the broker. So if you buy or sell a security on the exchange, NSE has guaranteed novation, which means the counterparty for you is only NSE. This was initiated as first of its kind in NSE way back in 1995. That is why in 2008, when we had a global meltdown, we had no default at NSE, which all of us can take pride today. Each one of us have definitely complied. Many market participants lost money, but nobody defaulted. One of the key points that Mr. Ramesh was talking this morning was how do we strengthen, how do we have deterrence in markets so that people do not commit frauds. Various initiatives that SEBI had started. One is the margining system, which is a huge deterrent for somebody not to default on an exchange. And that is why today we are able to do settlement on T+1, T+2. If it's 10:30 in the morning, 10:31, the fund cannot go into NSE system. It is that precise and that perfect. So the market works like that, and every one of you here have made that possible. So the deterrent largely is the margining system that we have. The second important thing that we've realized is, as we all accept, greed is there to stay, and that varies from individual. So what is it that we can do is to empower them, to tell them that you make wrong choices, then you would lose your basic money. So that's the only way to kind of make people comply in the system. So we do have education initiatives across the exchanges, depositories and SEBI. We do something like about 10,000 programs a year, which is not enough, but it is some beginning. We do have financial program as a life skill, financial literacy as a life skill that SEBI and NSE are doing with various state governments, CBSE board. This is only to empower and tell you where you could get caught. Unless we at an individual level are able to understand, the frauds cannot be reduced, or in the long run cannot be eliminated overall. So this becomes very critical. A very important SEBI initiative that I would really like to congratulate is the training that we do for Economic Offence Wing and the Police Department, because they are our critical arms in, helping us deal with these fraudulent practices. So we do have empowerment and interactive sessions with them. Many a times in cybercrime cases, they come in very handy. They help us in resolving the complaints. The last but not the least that I would also like to share with you with a lot of pride is all complaints or frauds, as we call it, get addressed in the exchange platform. And if an investor is put to hardship or he has lost money, SEBI has empowered exchange to pay from the Investor Protection Fund. And they're all very time bound. Unlike various other triple S's that we've heard, exchange level complaints are redressed in a time manner of within 4 months. An investor aggrieved do get 50% of his money even if the case goes to a court of law, which is the appellate body for any final redressal. So there is a huge amount of safety net that SEBI has brought into the system. It is also increasing a lot of investor awareness, because if you have to grow your savings into an investment, then capital markets are definitely the market for you all to look at. But if you are an investor, you need to have a baby step. You cannot go and purchase a share directly. You have ways and means to enter the market in a very safe manner, and an investor must be an investor with a horizon of investment of 3 to 5 years, and not be somebody who will buy today and sell 15 days later and call himself an investor. If you are doing that, then you need to empower on what the market practices are. Then we could reduce or minimize the frauds in the exchange. With these few remarks, I would like to thank every one of you for this opportunity. I'd be happy to take any questions, any issues that you all have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sunita Anand. In fact, you have brought out very well how the investor facilitator role you play, and also investor regulator played by the SEBI, and the internal link between these two. Now I think we'll listen from Dr. Kalurao. Another 5 to 7 minutes we will listen from him. Thank you.
Good afternoon to everybody. Because there's the time constraints, I had to go a little bit speeder. Thanks to the Department of Commerce and Professor Acharapati Garu for giving me a chance to stand before you. I'm sitting before you. And also thanks to the university. Okay. Now, respected panel members, with your permission, I would like to share some of my experiences in the frauds. Here, you have already heard number of speakers, regulators, Mr. Murali, and from the Premium Stock Exchange, NSE, Sunita. And my approach is slightly different in the sense, I found some of these frauds are epidemic, no doubt about it. Nobody can stop frauds. And it's not national, it's international. It's a link. So one regulator controls within the country doesn't mean that fraud is controlled. It is spread to the other country and again come back, because it's the epidemic. So now you have to think about, regulator has to think about how to prevent fraud permanently. So prevention is impossible and post-mortem is no use. Okay, you may find out the corrupt person after 12 years, after 15 years. What is that? What is going to happen to the public? What will happen to the people who lost their money? the people who already burned, not only hands, everything. And now coming to the regulators, and there is something called market intermediaries, and something called honesty here. Ethics we talk about governance here. If each and every market participant is ethically oriented, ethically approached, no regulator is required, no regulation, number of regulations are required, no amendments are required time to time, but it is not going to happen because the root cause for the fraud is happening in the base level where ethics is totally ignored. So the market intermediaries are finding ways and means how to, morning one of the speakers has spent very clearly it is a pressure, because of pressure we are doing fraud, because of absence of somebody and all. All these things are happening because of opportunity for the frauds. So that is the one thing I would like to highlight here. And there is something called International Association for all the regulators. That's called ISCO. This ISCO is, the role is very, very significant. In fact, there is no doubt about it. How regulators are supposed to be, how the regulation is supposed to be with the international standards. Now, the question is that because of that standards, each and every regulator across the globe is trying to get their regulations to suit the international standards, whether they are applicable to the Indian standards or local standards or not, and trying to put their name in the list of ISCO's list, either A or B or section A or section B. Once you are in that section, you are recognized regulator across the globe that all the practices is seamless. So that is one thing here which is not directly applicable to the each and every country because of these international standards. We have to see our own standards, our own